Hi, this is David McCann for WebTNG. In this video, I'm taking a look at AI Writer, a new plugin from Gutenberg Hub. These days, there are a number of different plugins that integrate AI writing assistants into WordPress. However, they each do it a little bit differently. When I was looking around for different AI assistant options, there were a couple of things about the AI Writer that caught my attention. So I wanted to try it out to see how it worked. This is the Gutenberg Hub website here. You'll notice currently all of their plugins are 50% off. Their plugins are listed on this shop page. A nice thing about their plugins is that they're all lifetime license and you can use them on unlimited sites. So here is their current list of different plugins that they have available. One thing about their plugins is that each plugin provides one block. So I've recently done a video on the Better YouTube Embed block, and you can see their different ones here. Here's a DALL-E AI image generator. Here are some blocks that you can use with the query loop block. And here's the AI Writer block. It's $69, and this is currently, I think, one of the more expensive ones. Each of the cards here has a View Details link. So here's the information about the AI Writer. You see it has instructions here that you press a space on a new paragraph block to bring up the place where you can type your prompt and the options that you can select. And then if you want to rewrite some text, you select it and right-click to get a menu for rewrite options. And you can rewrite, improve, fix grammar, make shorter, make longer, translate, or change the tone. And one of the things about the plugins here is each one of them has a how it works video. And so this walks through how to set up the plugin and kind of the basics on how to use it. So this page is your help page, your documentation for the block. Now, before we go to test it out, I wanted to show you something about the account page on Gutenberg Hub. My understanding is that the author lives in a country where there are not many payment processor options, and Freemius is one of the few that works in his country. And so he's using Freemius for the checkout form and also for the account page. So this is actually an embedded Freemius account page. I think that's something new that Freemius is doing. But it's good to know that, when you log in or create your Gutenberg Hub account, you'll want to be using your Freemius credentials if you already have an account with Freemius. Now, the developer did not include the Freemius SDK into any of the plugins. That means that there's no connection to Freemius or Freemius tracking when you install it on your websites. This is my test website. I'm using the Cadence theme. See, I have some demo posts here, but I also have two custom post types, one called books and one called authors. And if we look, we see that for each of the book records, I have one sentence that I wrote that contains the title of the book, but the rest of the content is test data, ipsum lorem filler text. And the same is true for authors. See, I have one sentence with the author's name and then just some filler text there. What I thought would be interesting to do is to take an author and some books and use the AI Writer to change from the placeholder text to some real text. And I thought that might make this demo data a little nicer. So that's what I'm going to try doing here. Let's go to the admin. If we look at plugins, you see I have MetaBox and MetaBox All-in-One installed, and that's what I use to create the custom post types and the custom taxonomy and add the custom fields to them. And then I also have the AI Writer plugin from Gutenberg Hub. So when you activate AI Writer, on the settings menu, there's a place here where you go and you enter the license key. Okay, so I've installed it and entered the license key. And now let's go into Gutenberg, into the editor. Okay, so here is the first record. The AI Writer puts an icon here for Configure OpenAI. You bring and add your own OpenAI API key. Okay, so this is different than some of the AI writing assistants. The way this one works is you set up your own account. That way you're only paying for your usage. And then you can use your same OpenAI API key with other tools. Now, the other model, the other way of doing it is like with Elementor AI, is you pay a subscription to have access to AI in that tool. Okay, and so the difference there is you may build a few websites and use the AI, and then maybe for a few months you don't use it, but you've already paid for that subscription. So that's why this was interesting to me, to use a pay-as-you-go model. They have a link here to OpenAI. Okay, and so there's information about it here, and you can also set up an account. When you set up an account, then you have API keys. I set up the account, and here's the API key I'm using, and it tells you how much you've used. So far this month, I've used less than a penny. All right, so let's go back in now, and I'm going to delete this. Okay, and I type a space on a blank paragraph, and we get the AI prompt. So my prompt is going to be write a 2-paragraph biography about the fantasy author David Dalglish. Okay, and I'm going to hit enter. And we see that it's turning here. Here it is. David Dalglish is a renowned American fantasy author of many popular book series, including Shadow Dance, Half-Orcs, and Seraphim. Born in Missouri on January 15th, 1978, he has been passionate about writing since he was a child. This is perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to take this out, and I'll get rid of this that it added. I'm quite happy with that. And one thing, like we can close this. If you don't want the icon to show up there, you can unfavor it like that, and then it won't show up there, but it's available here if you need it again. That's our first one. That was real easy and worked well. Let's go and do one more author. Let's try John Grisham. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this extra kind of dummy text. Hit space and say, write a 2-paragraph biography of the author John Grisham. Okay, so that's turning. All right, and John Grisham is an American novelist, attorney, politician, activist. Okay, his first novel, Time to Kill. Great, so this is perfect. I'll get rid of that paragraph and this title. So you see this is working very nicely. Let's switch over and do a few books. Let's do Camino Island. That's a book by John Grisham. I'm going to get rid of these extra kind of dummy text and hit space. Write a 2-paragraph summary of the book Camino Island by John Grisham. Okay, this is turning. Okay, this is great. So it tells a summary about the book, and that's perfect. So this is working very well. And we'll update this. Let's look at another book. Let's try One by One by Ruth Ware. This is kind of a thriller. And we'll get rid of these. And write a 2-paragraph summary of the book, One by One by Ruth Ware. Oops, I forgot to hit space ahead of time. Okay, so I'm going to highlight this. It says Ask AI. All right, it says rewrite, improve, simplify, make shorter, translate. Okay, so these are the rewriting options. Let me try copying this and deleting it out. Okay, now I'm going to hit space and paste it in. All right, and you see we have some options here. We have language, we have tone, and we have writing style. Okay, so let's try journalistic. And then we can do essay, blog post. Okay, pros and cons list. We'll come back and try that in a minute. But right now, let's go ahead and gonna click enter. And it's going. Okay, so we get this. Now we also get this here, which is interesting. So we've got some extra things here that we didn't ask for, and I understand that's coming from ChatGPT and not the plugin. But let's remove these things. It has these themes. I'll make that just a regular paragraph. And I'll get rid of this extra heading. So this is not too bad for giving some kind of real data. Obviously, if I was doing real book reviews, I'd want to say what I thought about the book and how I liked it. But for this purpose, it's pretty good. Let's look at another one now. Let's do this one, What Happened to the Bennetts by Lisa Scottoline. Get rid of this paragraph and get rid of this. Write a 2-paragraph summary of the book, What Happened to the Bennetts by Lisa Scottoline. Okay, it's turning, it's going. Now here's an interesting thing. It says, What Happened to the Bennetts is a thrilling novel by Lisa Scottoline that revolves around a middle-aged woman named Elizabeth Bennet. In the novel, Elizabeth is facing a tough time as her husband passes away and leaves her with a considerable amount of debt. Well, that's actually nothing about the book. The book is actually about a family that goes into witness protection. So ChatGPT has made up something. And this is one of the limitations of the AI writer right now, is actually What Happened to the Bennetts was published this year. It's a new book. And the AI writer is using ChatGPT. I think it's using 3.5. And the latest information from that is from 2021. Instead of saying it doesn't know, it just made something up. So that's a little problematic. You might never realize here if if I hadn't read the book and I didn't know what it was about, I could have put in something totally wrong here without realizing it. I'm going to have to take that out. Revert to the demo text for now on that one. So that was a little disappointing on what happened on this book. Okay, let's look for another one. We'll do A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Let's start with the same thing. write a 2-paragraph summary of the book, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms by George R.R. Martin. Okay, so that's working. It put it in as HTML. So that's odd. Yeah, I don't like that. Let's get rid of this. Let's try again. So this is a little better. It's 3 stories or a century before the events of a Game of Thrones. And then it says 3 novellas in the book. And we'll just make this a regular paragraph. That's okay. And let's get rid of this. And we can get rid of this. I'm going to save and we'll try a little other stuff here. What are the best and worst points about this book? About the book, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms by George R.R. Martin. And oops, I forgot to hit the space here. So I'm going to copy this and then I'll remove it, hit space, paste it. Okay, now let's try the pros and cons list. It changed that, so that didn't work. About the book. Pros, the writing style captures the reader's imagination. Cons, the book can be confusing for readers who are not familiar with the Game of Thrones universe. Okay, so that's pretty good. We'll get rid of this. Update. Let's try adding some other things here. So we will try a table. Create a table about the characters in the book, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms by George R.R. Martin. We'll see what that can do for us. So that's pretty good. Has some of the main characters, what royal house they're part of, and their status. So I like that. That's pretty nice. Let's update that. And I'm liking that. That looks pretty good. Let's do one more. Let's try The Whistler by John Grisham. Is a legal thriller. Okay, The Whistler by John Grisham is a legal thriller. So now let's highlight this and let's try the rewrite to make longer. See how that works. Okay, it did a good job of expanding that. Here we have a full 1-paragraph review. I like that. I'm going to copy this first sentence. Let's save. Let's go down here. I'm going to paste it once, twice, 3 times. Okay, let's do this. Change the tone to emotional. Prepare to have your heart racing and your emotions stirred as you dive into the gripping legal thriller, The Whistler, penned by the master storyteller John Grisham. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's do it again, and let's try playful. Oh, have you heard about The Whistler by John Grisham? It's a totally legal thriller. All right, one more. And do tone. We'll try pessimistic. Well, I suppose you could say The Whistler by John Grisham is just another legal thriller, but honestly, do we really need yet another book about corrupt lawyers? So this works fairly well for this purpose. The main drawback that I see is that it's using the older version of ChatGPT, which doesn't have any newer information. But otherwise, this works pretty nicely. Okay, so that's my walkthrough and look at AI Writer from Gutenberg Hub. You can kind of get an idea of how it works and whether or not it would work well for you. There's a text summary of this video available on the WebTNG website, along with other walkthroughs and reviews and other resources. If you found the video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.